churning the butter, how Mother Yashoda was churning the butter, and like the whole scenario, what was happening, why she was churning the butter, what was she thinking. So we, yeah, discuss about that. So what butter was she churning? Mother Yashoda probably thought like why Krishna was going to other gopis' houses, to steal the butter and then eating that butter. She probably thought that he didn't like the butter which was there at home. So the butter she was churning was from the special milk, because these cows who ate this special kind of grass, and the milk has its own fragrance. And the butter which was coming out of it, which she was churning, was a special kind of butter with a special fragrance of it. And while she was churning, she was thinking and singing about Krishna's pastime and glorifying Krishna. So, and it also tells us that to become the pure devotee, we have to do some efforts. And that was the good example, Mother Yashoda's example, that how she was thinking about Krishna's pastime and how she was glorifying Krishna, so that she was in the full devotion while she was performing this activity, while she was churning the butter. Um, because those who worship Krishna with devotion, um, Krishna carries what they lack and preserves what they have. So, hearing, chanting, and worshipping of Krishna is um, it's such a devotion that we can only feel, and we can only feel if we are just completely absorbed in this devotion. There was one verse we discussed, which they discuss about, like whatever we do, we eat, we give, we offer, should be done as an offering unto Krishna. And we have to mold our lives in such a way that we do not forget about Krishna. And because Krishna accepts everything offered with love, so we should eat remnants, like eat prasadam. And apart from that, if we, like how preaching is so important, in that if we don't preach, then we have the excuse to leave everything. And how we have to use our surplus of money should be utilized in the service of Krishna. And we also discuss about the verse Machita Madgata Prana Bhojayanta Parasparam, that those of Krishna's pure devotees dwell in Krishna and their lives are fully devoted in Krishna's service. So there were some symptoms of the pure devotees which was described by you, Prabhuji, that glorifying Krishna in her activities and thoughts was one of them. So how Mother Yashoda was in that devotion. She was in Vatsalya Ras, where she was just in thinking of Krishna and doing the service of Krishna. And how she was wearing, and how her body was shaking. She was moving, the flowers were falling off her hair. So to become a pure devotee, we should cherish and thinking of um, maternal affection of Krishna, so that we can develop that relationship and we can feel that devotion while in any kind of service of Krishna. So that was such an important part that I never realized that we just saw it as this normal churning butter, but there was so much behind it that which make us feel to that how important it was to what was happening inside of Mother Yashoda and what was the whole scenario. So yes, Prabhuji. So we just discuss about how the real devotion is important while doing each single service of Krishna, to accept the love from Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, that's very nice. Out on this, it's very good. Yeah, I think you covered all the aspects of the discussion last time. Okay, so now let us have a discussion today.
We can't hear you, Prabhuji.
Haribol, you can't hear me?
Your voice is very low.
Is it okay now?
Yes. Yeah, I think it is okay now.
Okay, Hare Krishna. So now we'll start with today's discussion there. It is the devotion or love that binds Krishna, that is the theme of this whole Damodara Lila pastimes, completely. Um, so now we continue with our discussion. Pastime continues, and we know this. What happens after this? But she's churning, she's remembering, she's singing for Krishna, and Krishna wakes up, And as Krishna is waking up, immediately he's hungry. He's hungry. So while Mother Yashoda was churning the butter, Lord Krishna desired to drink milk, from her. And with that desire, he appeared before her. And it is mentioned there that to increase her pleasure, transcendental desires, pleasure, he insisted on drinking the milk. So whenever insistence that happens, insistence is done only when there is love. Hak, hak. In English it is hak. What is in English hak? Right. As a matter of right. Yes. So as a matter of right, Krishna comes, and insists that I want to drink milk, and he stops her churning with her hand, with his hand. He prevents her from churning the butter. Okay. So as the Prabhupada explains this, that all this while Krishna was sleeping in the next room, wakes up, and he stops her from churning, and he wants to drink the milk from Mother Yashoda's breast, Then he stops the churning Lord. Okay. Now I wanted to ask one quick question. How many of you are reading this pastimes now after our discussion? Bhagavatam. Are you reading now?
Yes, we have read it, Prabhu, the verses in pastimes.
I know. Good. Would you have read it before if I had not spoken about this then?
No, Prabhu.
So that's very good. There's something positive coming out from there. No? But don't jump, Prabhuji, please. I know you read once, but this is not, unless you understand Canto 9 thoroughly, unless you understand the chronology of what the different Manus and their children, their offsprings are, we will not be able to understand. We'll be jumping only, to be very honest with you. So please, you can do so. You are our seniors, as long as you studied all the cantos thoroughly. Because my experience is that when I finished 9th canto, first time, I held very deep sense of realization. And Prabhupada writes that in the preface. You read the preface of Bhagavatam, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu.
So Prabhupada writes this, that if you, for any person, Prabhupada talks about not devotees, non-devotees, So read it. So first 9 cantos, if you read, then he becomes convinced about the existence of God. And that is what the realization one should feel in the heart, the 9th canto. So now don't go to sleep because you read it. Be attentive on what I'm speaking. It's up to you, You may think it is boring. It's entirely up to you. So what about other people? You guys have done it? This is a difficulty,
No, Prabhuji. Because I said, we don't jump, so I did not.
Yeah. because you all are preaching, so I thought there's a need for this, so you guys understand a little bit more on this.
Yes, only reading Prabhuji if it comes the reference somewhere in the Bhagavad Gita or something like that.
That's all right. That's okay. So now, tamang kamarudhamapaya yatstanam neha snutam sasmitam ikshiti mukham artruptak utsrujya javena sayaya utsitya mane payasi tvadishrite. So the love of mother is described by the words Smitam ikshati mukham. So Mother Yashoda was smiling and observing the smiling face of Krishna. So just like if you see, if you are present there, that is where Bhagavatam, as I always say, that the modern days depiction of dramas or movies or whatever you call it, web series or television serials where they show close-ups, or actions or emotions. They all are manifestation of Krishna's pastimes. Just see this. Smitam Ikshita Mukham. Mother Yashoda was smiling and observing the smiling face of Krishna. That means now you can see that Krishna was smiling, enjoying the milk, and Mother Yashoda was smiling in serving him as a son. So you can see there's a close up there, close up shot there. So to this extent, the speaker of Bhagavatam, Sri Sukadeva Goswami, has narrated it in detail, this detail. So it's very, very important that we also are, when we are studying, as a student, as students, we are also very particular about understanding these things. So now, Mother Yashoda then embraced Krishna at this point in time. Everything is done. As Krishna comes, and then she allows him to sit on her lap. Thereafter, she began to look at her face, moon-like face, with great love and affection. And the intensity of love was such that without extraneous means, then when the child is hungry, the milk begin to flow on her own, on its own. This is a fact. Even material mothers can experience this. So at that time here, she is now feeding Krishna. But at the same time, there Krishna, she realizes, she sees, oh, there's a milk pan in the oven, which is boiling over. So immediately she puts Krishna aside and runs to take care of the overflowing milk. And Krishna was not at all satisfied, But he just had started, and he was enjoying it. He was smiling, she was smiling, and she had to keep him aside and go. So we may think that Mother Yashoda kept Krishna aside and went to do some other extra service. Correct? That's what we understand. But what we understand is this from the first verse, first two verses that we understood of churning the butter and why she was churning the butter. That even the milk which was kept boiling in the kitchen was not different in the service to what service she was doing to Krishna. This was also service, this is also service. The Prabhupada, that's why writes that everything in the household affairs of Yashoda was meant for Krishna. This is the point to be understood. Underlying point. As I always say, that the first part of the purport of Prabhupada are very, very significant. And then Prabhupada expands this point. So it will be foolhardy and very immature to think that she kept Krishna aside and did some other work. There's no other work. All work and all is service for Krishna. And this made Krishna very angry. This is one part of it, but the pastime is such that this is the Lila pastime, internal potency. But doing so, Krishna was acting like a child. Child are generally very selfish people. They see and think only about themselves. I'm hungry, I want to eat. You give me food, I'm very happy. You don't give me food, very angry. I want to eat this food only. So they insist upon that food from the parents. And then the parents who are weak, they give the food to them. What to do? He is very insisting. Jid karta hai, or jid karti hai. And we are just helpless. Put your weapons down. If your children are not Krishna, don't put the weapons down like this. You suffer greatly. You're not doing any service to them. You're doing disservice to them. You should give them not what they want, or what they need. That's what the parents do. But here Krishna is playing a child, so he becomes very angry, upset. I'm not satisfied. I'm not finished. What are you guys doing? Why do you run away? Okay. But here, what we'll understand is this, that Prabhupada very beautifully explains this, that for the same purpose, for the same business, so many things have to be taken care of to achieve the same business results. So Krishna gives the intelligence to the devotee by which to prioritize what to do first, what to do second. It is not an ordinary situation where Mother Yashoda is feeding Krishna and she sees the milk overflowing and then keeping Krishna aside and running away to the kitchen. She is ordinarily seeing things. But that is not how in transcendental affairs things work. Sometimes one must take care of more than one item of importance in a business to achieve the same purpose. Everything is important. Feeding Krishna is important, milk is also important, it's for Krishna only. See? So therefore, Mother Yashoda, very unjustly, she was not unjust at all in keeping Krishna aside and running out into the kitchen to take care of the overflowing milk. See? This is the point to be understood. So on the platform of pure love and affection only, Prabhupada, that is, I underline this point. On the platform of pure love and affection, it is a duty of devotee to do one thing first and other things later. Proper intuition by which to do this is given by Krishna. This is a little tricky to explain. I'm not going to explain this because this we have to realize. Underline this point. The proper intuition by which to do this is given by Krishna. And we have to perfect this intuition. Intuition is what? As we discussed, Paramatma talking. So each one of us has a relationship with the Paramatma. Nobody can interfere in that relationship. Even between guru and disciple, a true guru never insists upon doing in a particular way. He says, your relationship is with Krishna, we must approach Krishna. He'll guide you. Untrue Guru will say, do as I'm telling you, that's it, or be with it. A cultish situation. This is not right. So this intuition part is very beautifully described again in the Chatushloki. Avinash Babu, you read it. So what is the words there given there? Can you read it, please? I open the book there. It's in front of you.
I was talking the previous verse you talk about, Prabhu. That's what I read.
Okay, previous verse. For revision's sake, you're saying.
Yes.
Because I've not taken everything from those verses, you know.
Yeah.
I've added many things there, you know.
Yeah, that we realize, Prabhu. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so here now again, the Chatushloki, this intuition part, this is very, very significant. The aspect of one's using of one's intuition in devotion is very significant, but it's very confidential. In one's service to one's guru or Krishna, in one's intuition plays very important part. And that intuition is what everybody doesn't understand. Like, what is your intuition? Is your bhav with which you're serving. I may not understand it. So I'm not saying it is not important. For you, it is very important. You see? So that's why Krishna is saying in the Chatushloki of Bhagavad Gita, Tesham satata yukta nam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti. This is the point. Buddhi yogam tam dadami, I give them the intelligence. Buddhi yoga is devotional service. So in Krishna consciousness, everything is dynamic, you know. Krishna guides the devotee in what to do first and what to do next on the platform of absolute truth. And this everybody will be expecting it, especially those who are cooking for Krishna. They will know this. So in any household, if this mother is cooking, mothers will know this. It's a very nice cook. I believe personally that if you're cooking for Krishna, you're performing arti for Krishna, anything direct relationship with Krishna, you know, in terms of deities, you have a very, very good chance of advancing very rapidly, you know. It's up to us. If you're very serious, then we will see the intensity which what person is doing, you know, the service. And the taste it can be seen in one's prasadam. And Krishna accepts, relishes that point. So don't think that after cooking, when you're offering, that Krishna relishes. Of course, he does that, offering. But cooking is what the most important thing is how you do. The cooking is made through love. As I told you once, many years ago, you know, my boss, he had said, "Oh, you're Hare Krishna." I said, "Yeah." And so it's how you cook is important for you. I said, "Yes, that's right." So even he knew this point. But love, cooking with love. Yeah. So this is the point and a bit of understanding about the affection and how she had to go away. Now, at this point in time, Krishna becomes very angry. You know? His eyes become very reddish, and he's biting his lips with his teeth. You know, to that extent, he was upset, angry. He's upset. You have to transcend love. It's not that he's upset with an anger. This is a childishness. This is a wrong upset. You know, as Prabhupada writes mentioned in the next verse, saying that being very angry and biting his reddish lips with his teeth, Krishna, with false tears in his eyes, broke the container of yogurt with a piece of stone. You see, with false tears. You know, you've got children crying. You see children crying, and you make them laugh, they laugh also. While crying, they're laughing. Or Krishna used to do all the time, you know. He would cry and he would go and make him laugh, he would laugh, you know. And he's still crying, still his tears are coming and he's still laughing. So funny it is, isn't it? And all of us would feel the same. All of us would experience our children, our grandchildren, doing the same, So it's nothing else. The innocence comes from Krishna. Maharaj insists upon this point. So many times Maharaj said, and I've yet to realize this point. Maharaj said that in our love for Krishna, we have to be truly innocent like a child. Hmm. We got so many, we become so clever, But even in devotional service, we have become so clever, Pretending our bhakti, why is somebody saying this, saying that, and politics and that and that. But even that is superficial. But in our dealings with him day to day, we should be very innocent with him, just like a child. Then intuition works. So, with false tears in his eyes, he broke the container of yogurt with a piece of stone. Then he entered a room and began to eat the freshly churned butter in a solitary place. So, sitting very quietly in the next room where nobody can see him, busy eating. And that will explain to us how he is eating also. So it's natural for a child to become angry. He can begin crying with false tears in his eyes. It's natural. And Krishna did the same thing. And biting his reddish lips with his teeth. He broke the pot with the stone and entered the room and began to eat freshly churned butter. The first, everything started by butter. He's a thief. So mother is very concerned that he should not be called thief. He's thief, he's transcendental. Somebody calls me thief, I'll be very upset, but we can call Krishna thief. You see? Is it not interesting? We cannot call ourselves thief, but we can call God as thief, and we are very happy about it. माखन चोर बोलते हैं हम, butter thief. If somebody calls me, bank thief, or if you give me something, I'll take away, I'll never give it back to you. Ye thief, that thief, I'll be very upset. For Krishna, we are also very happy to do it, even if you have no devotion. So that's why we have to be a bit careful, in talking about these things. He's transcendental. That's why he is not insulted. And we are also not insulted as long as we are not on the Bollywood platform. So now, Uttarya Gopi Shushrutam Payah Punaha Pravishya Samdrushya Chadadhi Amatrakam Bhagnam Bilokya Twasutasya Karmataj Jahasatam Chapi Natatra Pashyati. It is very beautiful. So now she's putting down from the oven, very hot milk. She keeps it aside. But Yashoda entered the churning spot where she was churning. And she observed, Samdrushva. Drushva means seeing. By observing Samdrushva. She sees what she sees. The container of the yogurt is now broken. Bhagnam. And seeing this, she remembered, she thought, this is the handiwork of my son only. And she smiled. Although we broke the pot. And then she looked for it. So Mother Yashoda, she concluded, the pot in the kitchen, kept it aside, hot water, hot milk pot. Came to the churning spot, saw the container broken, jug of yogurt, and Krishna was not present, he's gone. but the pot is broken. He immediately understood he's broken the pot and he's gone somewhere now. She concluded this point, that this breaking of the pot is a handiwork of our Krishna. There was no doubt about it. Prabhupada says. Now, how she traced it? उलोकलांघ्रे उपरि व्यवस्थितम् Markaya kamam dalatam shichistitam hayangavam chaurya visham kitekshanam niriksha pashyat sutamagamarchanai. So Avinash, it's very nice. You, for recapping, you studied Bhagavatam. That is very good. That is very nice. Recapping is good. What we studied, you can get back. It's very nice. So it reinforces things. Sometimes I read one in 2-3 times. My reading goes very slow, very painfully slow, because I'm a bit slow. So it is very good. This is way. Now here, what happens is this: that this particular verse, it depicts how Krishna was eating. The first word is Ulu Kalangre Upari Vyavasthitam. So Ulu Kal Angre. That means there's a mortar for churning spices, making grounding spices. You go doom, 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 big one. There's a huge mortar, wooden mortar, where you use a big stick and churn, and kutna कहते हैं उससे, you ground the spice. If any one of you has done it, you're great, man. Fantastic. If not, we should go in India and do all those things. We should live in New Zealand. Here in New Zealand, we need to preach. So this is a big pot like this, spices. So that is put upside down. Ulukhala angrehe. So it is placed upside down. And upari, vyavasthitam. Upari, on top of it, vyavasthitam. Krishna is very sitting very nicely. Yeah, vyavasthitam. So we have got, in our Gujarati language also, Hindi language also, vyavasthitam. Sitting there. But it's sitting very nicely there. व्यवस्थित बैठ रहा, व्यवस्थित बस तो बस लेला होता, व्यवस्थित बैठे थे, व्यवस्थित बैठे लो होतो. This is the point on the upside down mortar. Nicely. And what was he doing this? Markaya kamam tadatam shuchisthitam. Markaya kamam. Markaya means what? Monkeys. Kamam meaning what? Desires. So there is full satisfaction. What was he doing? Sitting on the top of the spice, grinding mortar with the monkeys. Dadatam Sichi Sthitam. Dadatam meaning what? He's now delivering each everyone's shares. Sichi Sthitam, situated on the butter pot hanging on the swing. So he is now sitting there and standing on top of it and taking out butter from the other pots hanging and giving everyone their shares. Keeping everybody satisfied. Nobody is dissatisfied. He's God. He gives everyone satisfaction. Monkeys come first. So it's good if somebody's called you monkey. It's best. Krishna's monkey we are. Hayangavam Churya Vishen Kitekshanam. Haryang. Hayangavam. So Haya Anga. There is the butter and other preparations. Avam. Hayangavam. Butter and other milk preparations. Churya Vashik Vishankite Kshanam. So Churya Vishankita, because of stealing, now he's stealing from his own home also. He was very anxiously looking here and there because he knows he's doing something wrong. If you're doing something wrong, you know. Even a thief, he goes to thief something, he looks here and there, and then only thieves, even if he's expert thief. Nobody's looking at me, and then I'll pick up. Krishna is expert thief, but he's still doing it. He knows this. It says Ikshanam. With his eyes, he's looking here and there, making sure that mother is not coming here. Now I'm doing this big mischief now. At the last, it says, Niriksha Paschat Sutamaga Machanaihi. So Niriksha Paschat. By seeing these activities, Paschat means from behind comes, you know, Mother Yashoda, Agamat, she reached, Shanai, he means very slowly, very cautiously she comes and she tries to catch Krishna there. So he's sitting nicely upside down on a wooden mortar, for garnering the spice. Very nicely sitting there, situated beautifully. And he's distributing milk preparations such as yogurt and butter to the monkeys as he liked, giving everyone share. Take it. Now, because of stealing, he was looking all around with great anxiety, suspecting that he might be chastised or caught by Mother Yashoda. Caught then finished, mar gaye. He's going to beat him up. And Mother Yashoda very quietly, upon seeing him, very cautiously approached him from behind. Now, we have touched this point, how she found out he's here in this room. So Mother Yashoda was able to trace Krishna. Because Prabhupada writes this in a purport. So this is not mentioned in the Bhagavatam, you see. But Prabhupada writes in the purport to say that Mother Yashoda was able to trace Krishna by following the butter smeared footprints. You see? And she saw Krishna stealing again butter. And she was just smiling. Okay. Now, something very interesting happened at that time, that the crows also entered the room. This is not mentioned here in the verse, you see. So there are crows, they also entered the room, seeing all this drama going on. Yeah. And they came out running for fearing Mother Yashoda there. They also went, cow, I want to eat something. Cow, went away back again outside. So meanwhile, the crows also entered the room and came out in fear. So Mother Yashoda found Krishna stealing the butter, very anxiously looking here and there. This is a point there. This is what is happening there. See how beautiful it is mentioned. Very beautiful. It's like this whole Lila is playing in front of you. So this should somehow or other we must recollect, remember when we're chanting. Yeah, with the philosophy too. So, and then that famous verse comes. Tamatayoshtim prasamiksha satvaras tato avaharuya pasasar bhitavat gopyan vadhavan gopyan vadhavan nayamapayoginam kshamam praveshtum tapaseri chammanaha. See here again, Mother Yashoda is called as Gopi. See, anyone, as Guru Maharaj says, drink the nectar of Krishna through all his or her senses is Gopi. Go means senses. P means pivate, who drinks. So as Maharaj says, although this is very confidential, please don't share with anybody else. Don't even say these things to anybody else. Although I've put this post a few times. I was pretty bold on this, but I had to remove some comments from very senior disciples of Prabhupada. So we're very careful. Don't say. But this is what it is. Maharaj says, that with all our senses, when we are drinking nectar of Krishna, that's gopi. So we are also drinking to the extent that we are doing it, to the extent we are gopis also. Small, minute. So now tamatayastim prasamaksha prasamiksha satvaras. So now tam means Mother Yashoda. Atayastim means now she's carrying a stick in her hand. Prasam Prasamikshya Satvarahas. So that means Krishna seeing that she's holding a stick in her hand. He understood her attitude. Very quickly. Satvara, very quickly. From there, he getting down. He ran away, getting down from that mortar, And apasasara, apasasar, he ran and began to flee. Bhitavat, as if very afraid. See, this is a mar gaye. Now finished, Avinash was beaten by his mother. You're very lucky. You're transcendental. I've not been beaten by my mother. My mother is very soft. So here Krishna ran away. Fleeing, being afraid of Mother Yashoda. And Mother Yashoda, Anandhavat, Anvadhavat, excuse me. She's running behind him now. And she's failed to reach. That's where the famous verses comes now. Yogina. Gopyan Vadhavan Nayamapa Yogina. The Gopi means Mother Yashoda. Anvadhavat, begin to follow him. Na yam apa yogina. Na means not. Yam means unto whom. Apa means fail to reach. Yoginam, the great yogis, mystics. So the mystics fail to reach Krishna. To them, Krishna is unreachable. And the same situation, Mother Yashoda is also trying to reach Krishna, but with a stick in her hand. Kshamam praveshtum tapaseritam manaha. Kshamam means she could reach him. This is astonishing. Praveshtum, trying to enter into the effulgence of Brahman or Paramatma. Tapase yaritam manaha. The tapasa, with great austerities and penances. Iritam means trying for that purpose. Manaha, by meditation. You see? So the yogis are trying to meditate, performing great austerities and penances. Trying to enter into the effulgence of Krishna as Brahman or as Paramatma. But here Mother Yashoda is chasing doing the same thing with a stick in her hand. So when Krishna saw Mother Yashoda with a stick in her hand, he very quickly got down the top of the mortar and began to flee as if he was very much afraid. And how old was he? Hardly anything. He could hardly run. So, although the yogis try to capture him as Paramatma by meditation, they want to desire to enter into the effulgence of the Lord with great austerities and penances. They fail to reach him. But Mother Yashoda, thinking that same personality of Godhead Krishna to be her son, began following Krishna to catch him. The difference is in the bhav, you see. So here, there is no question for the yogis of having God as a form with whom there could be one-to-one personal relationship. And here, the other side, Mother Yashoda had perfected the relationship of mother and child. So she's also chasing Krishna behind him. But as a mother, not out of no relationship. So the yogis, they want to catch Krishna with as Paramatma, with great austerities and penances. They try to approach him, yet they cannot catch Krishna. But here we see, however, that Krishna is going to be caught by Mother Yashoda, about to be caught, and he's running away in fear. So this illustrates, what does it show? It illustrates the difference between the bhakta and the yogis. The yogis cannot reach Krishna, but for pure devotees like Mother Yashoda, Krishna is already caught. Doing the action of catching is an action. It's in the material world, the duality. But Within the heart, the fact that there is a relationship, close relationship, is already done. See, we started the discussion by saying that how she was feeding Krishna, the very first verse, today's discussion, that she was smiling at Krishna, caressing his hair, and he was nicely drinking the milk, smiling at Mother Yashoda. Beautiful. So she had already captured him. He was already captured by Krishna. Running and capturing him is a material thing. It's a pastime Lila. That's why Prabhupada writes this point that Yashoda, Krishna is already caught by Mother Yashoda. And Krishna was very afraid of Mother Yashoda's stick. So this is also mentioned by Queen Kunti, in her prayers. Bhaya bhavanaya sitasya. So here Krishna is very much afraid of Mother Yashoda. And the yogis are afraid of Krishna. You see, if you don't know something, you're afraid of the person, right? You don't know how the person would be. So Mother Yashoda, Krishna is afraid of Mother Yashoda, and the yogis are afraid of Krishna. Is there a difference, disparity? So yogis try to reach Krishna by Gnana Yoga and other yogas, but they fail. Yet Mother Yashoda, being a woman, Krishna was afraid of her, as described in this particular verse. Yeah. So I think we stop here today, and we can next verse onwards. It will be the further pastime of how he's caught up, caught from behind. Now, I didn't want to say anything or ask any questions. Don't ask me questions. I don't know the answers. But please feel free. Hare Krishna. Sorry, you can ask questions if you want to. I'll try my best, Hare Krishna. Okay. Hare Krishna. Very nice. Maharaj would tell me, क्या अम्बरीश wasting time in New Zealand, man, preaching in New Zealand, hardly anything. मतलब इंडिया में आओ तुम, एक लेक्चर तो फिर पूछो प्रश्न तो महाराज से 20-25 लोग के हाथ खड़े हो जाते हैं सबके क्वेश्चन के लिए. तुम इतना सब मेहनत करते हो, कोई पूछता भी नहीं है. Maharaj told us many times to come to India. I remember this distinctly, this particular one. Rajkot Maharaj said this. Okay. Hare Krishna. All right. Thank you very much. I think we can conclude today's discussion. So, Krishna willing, we will meet next week, same place, same time. Till then, please continue your blissful service to Lord Shri Radha Damodar and Kartik Mas in your bliss. And yeah, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Okay, Jai Srila Gurudev ki Jai.
Jai.
Word to word synonyms, translations, and purport for Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Krishna Nitai Gaur Chandra Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Shantarat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.